within your pocketbook. And we can do it right here in the Iowa House. Very quickly on my background, I grew up in Altoona, went to Southeast Polk, went straight down the road to Drake University on University Avenue, then went out to DC and taught government and education, and then joined the Air Force. I was privileged to serve as an intelligence officer and flew three deployments out to Afghanistan and Iraq. During that time, I had the opportunity to lead some of the finest Americans. To lead some of the finest Americans, our neighbors, our friends, our sons and daughters, and our brothers and sisters. We came back from every mission successful. We were able to deliver the ammunition that we needed. We were able to develop the reconnaissance that we had, but most importantly, we were able to defend the way of life, not only for us, but for our allies around the world. And that's important. That's what it means to be a Republican, that we care not just about ourselves, but about our community, the people right here in this room. And that's why it's important for me today to be running for the Iowa House. I want to thank my wife for giving me permission to run, and it's very important. And my young little man, he's 4 years old, Cannon, for being here today. He was with the junior delegates, but he thought he'd come in here with the big kid room. So I appreciate you doing that today. Most importantly, my opponent today tries to pretend that he's a Republican. And in Eastern Polk County, you can do that maybe about 50% of the time. His biggest thing right now is term limits. Well, I'd like to start by offering him the opportunity to term limit himself out starting this fall. I'm asking for your support. I'm asking as a local House representative that if you have an opportunity, come over to the Altoona side, give us a chance to knock on doors with us, see what we're doing. Will has already been out there helping me knock on doors. I really appreciate it, and good luck to you. I think this will be a great opportunity. If I see you, please come shake my hand. I'd like to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, I look over at the VOM and I don't see any other candidates waiting, so we'll get started with some business. Okay, just a real quick review of some procedure that we'd like to respect today during the convention. If you'd like to speak, approach one of the microphones on the floor. Wait for the person that's currently speaking to finish. Address the chairperson by saying Mr. Chairman or Madam Chairman, followed by your name, precinct, and make sure your credentials are fully visible. Wait until the chairperson recognizes you, state your motion, I move that, and all motions do require a second. And please be respectful of others and don't make it personal. All right, so we'll now at this time need to approve the agenda. Our agenda was slightly modified. We did drop from the convention agenda, the draft agenda that was sent out to you. We did drop the color guard, and then we have added a final report of the Committee on Credentials. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, there being none, the agenda will stand approved as amended. We'll now move on to the appointment of committee chairs. The following individuals were appointed by the Republican Party of Polk County's Executive Committee at the February 11th meeting to serve as the chairs of the following convention committees: Tom Stockbrand, Rules; Joe Hires, Credentials; Richard Rogers, Platform; Mary Wisenan, Organization. At this time, we'll be moving on to our next item of business. That is the report of the Committee on Rules. Please help me welcome Tom Stockbrand.
Mr. Chairman, the Rules Committee consisted of myself, E.J. Giovanetti, and Jonas Cutler. Mr. Chairman, by direction of the committee, I move for the adoption of the rules as amended.
As most of you received, there was an amendment that was passed out this morning to proposed amendment to section 16, including Exhibit B. 2.0, excuse me, Exhibit B 2.0. Now, Tom, did you want to make a motion on that?
I said it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that the rules be adopted as amended. Are there any additional amendments at this time? Yeah. Approach the microphone. Gentlemen at the, I'm going to keep each of the microphones, sir. I'm going to let him go first. Sir, you're at the microphone there to my right.
My name is Steve Jones, 176.
Would someone turn on Steve's microphone for him, please? Or is that the one with the batteries?
My name is Steve Jones, 176. I would propose an amendment to the amendment, and it would, starting at about the 7th line where it says, at-large delegates to the 3rd District and state conventions, all that language would be stricken down to where it says, but may participate in the election of delegates from their precinct. And then we would keep after the election of delegates by the precincts, and also strike out and adoption of attachment B 2.0. So basically what I'm trying to say is that all the delegates would be duly elected delegates. We would not have a slate of at-large delegates.
Okay, Cleon said that's technically 2 amendments, sir.
All the one, I'm striking all
He's
of,
just striking all the language is what he's saying, Cleon.
I'm just striking all of that language.
That would be recognized as a lawful amendment. Okay, is there a second? Okay, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment to the amendment? The amended rules. We'll have, you can speak at either microphone at this time. John? Turn on your microphone, please, John.
Green light. There.
Okay, thank you.
John Gabriel, 105. Point of information, did that amendment have the proper signatures, and did the Secretary of the Convention approve that amendment? That was, because if it didn't have the proper signatures, then it would be out of order according to the rules.
The Rules Committee Chair says yes, they were, the amendment that was offered was correctly, had the lawful signatures and everything, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir?
Again, Steve Jones, 176. Part of the reason for my motion would be to allow only duly elected delegates to be here to represent and do the business. As you look at the people listed on the at-large slate that's been proposed, most of those are candidates. They are our servants, and I don't think they deserve a free pass just to be a delegate of this convention. Most of them come in, they make their speech, and go to another convention. They're not here to be here all day and do the work of this convention.
Just to make more amendments? No, this is to speak to, we're having discussion on the current amendment, the proposed amendment to the amended rules. John?
Once again, sorry, John, L25. I stand in opposed to the amendment because the reason is when I was listening on the radio earlier this week, and I heard Will says these that are on this slate, they would love to stay here and sit in the chairs all day, but they have to go to other counties and do the speeches and so forth, because they are working hard to get in front of all of us get elected, not just the ones in Polk County, but in a lot of counties. And so, like Governor Brent said, as soon as he got done here, he shot out, and who knows how many he's going to actually hit today. He's probably going to hit a lot of them in a lot of parts of the state. And that's all we're doing, is we're just allowing those to have the freedom to be able to be seen by audiences like us. And so, I think by cutting it down, the original of 99 was too large, I agree 100%. This one here is just the delegate, or just the elected officials. I think this is, I think they did a great job cutting it down to 27.
The parliamentarian would like me to just make sure that everybody is aware that the proposed Exhibit B 2.0, those are delegates to the district state convention. John?
John Stoker, Urbandale 3. You know, I'm in general agreement that all of our delegates to the district and state convention should be elected by the precincts. However, I've spoken with Will Rogers, he's of course the county chairman. I've also spoken with AJ Spiker. Presently, our rules do not make provision for getting certain people who are necessary to perform the business of the district and state conventions to the conventions. So we would actually be relying on there being enough people to be elected delegates to do so. Now that that list has been pared down to 26 people, there are people on that list that are actually necessary to perform the business at the district and state conventions, and I think the list of 26 delegates is entirely appropriate, and that's why I would speak out against the amendment and move that, and then be in support of the amended rules.
Nick McGann, Des Moines 46, just a point of inquiry. How long has the precedent of slating candidates existed for the Polk County Republicans? As far as I'm aware, at least the last 2 election cycles, if not longer. No. Way back. Way back, then. I'm getting that from Darlene Blake and Steve Roberts. They would know. We still have to recognize people that are still. Jim, would you like to speak for or against?
I would like to speak against. Jim Carley, Altoona 4. I would like to speak against the slate. Although it's been going on for many years, that doesn't mean it's right. I believe the people should work their way up to this convention through the precinct election process and then on to district through the selection process here. There should be no slate other than the initial ones that I put into my amendment, which I'd like to bring up later, which is the county chair, co-chair, secretary, and treasurer, and that's it.
Is that Larry? Please, sir.
I'm Larry Disney, President 01. I'd like to speak against that amendment. Those of you who haven't run for office, and especially those of you who haven't held office, I'll just tell you, it's a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, and nobody represents us more than they do. We went to a caucus and spent maybe an hour, a couple of hours. Those guys are spending days, weeks, years. And the idea that we're going to say, no, you can't go on to the county or the district and state conventions seems a little presumptuous to me.
Jerry Saylor, Des Moines 83. I speak for the amendment. I understand that these gentlemen who are in office have plenty of work to do, but so do I. I've got other things that I could be doing this morning, and I'm sure most of the people here have other things that they should be doing this morning, working, and that sort of thing. I believe that we took the time to come. We deserve the right to elect those people to represent us in the conventions.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that just because
could you say your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Otto Kahn, Johnson 5. And I wanted to say that just if we do take away the slate today, we still have the opportunity to elect our candidates. I'm in Johnson 5, the home of Robert Kramer. Our precinct can go ahead and nominate Robert Kramer to be a delegate and go ahead and run. And you can even elect people who haven't been elected at the precinct caucus to be, that's a county delegate here. So you have that opportunity to elect candidates and to be able to make sure that they go to the county convention. It doesn't mean that candidates are not going to go.
Just as, again, a point of clarification, is it county, it's candidates to the district state.
Yeah, to the district convention.
Ma'am?
Morgan Pearson, Four Mile Township. There's really nothing that I had to add besides what all just previously said. I just wanted to clarify the point that the gentleman said previous, saying that, or at least it seemed like that we would not be able to, have Terry Branson, to have the rest of these candidates go to the state and district convention. In no way, shape, or form is having a slate or not having a slate, preventing us from electing them if there wasn't a slate. They still have a possibility. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to say in that regard.
Thank you. Sir?
Nick McGann, Des Moines 46. I'd like to call a question. Motion on the floor.
There's no other individuals interested in speaking for or against? Is there a second? Second? There are no other individuals to speak for or against the amendment. The question has been called. The amendment to the proposed amended rules would strike all language referring to the at-large delegate slate and including Exhibit B 2.0. I'm going to put that slide up just so you can see that as well. Can everybody read that? I tried to get it all on one slide. I apologize. I can read those if you would like. No? All right, the question has been called. All those in favor of the amendment to the proposed amended rules, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. Okay. Nays have it, and the motion fails. Okay. Is there another amendment? Proposed amendment.
Mr. Chairman.
Could you, again, please restate your name and precinct? I apologize.
Jerry Saylor, Des Moines 83. My motion is to delete section number 12 in its entirety. Would you like me to read section 12?
Please, Jerry. Please do.
Motion to reconsider any vote on any part of the platform or rules are out of order after a final vote has been taken on the same issue, including specifically the adoption or rejection of any plan or part of the platform or the rules.
Is there a second?
Point of order.
Point of order called, sir.
Nick McGann, Des Moines 46. Was there still the amendment standing for the proposed changes to the rules that was on the previous slide that needs to be settled before we move on?
No, the amendment was adopted by the committee.
Okay.
Okay. Is it Jerry's amendment to strike section 12? Is there a second? Second. It has been seconded. Was it seconded by someone? Thank you. I see who you are. I know who you are. All right. Well, at this time, if there's anyone to speak for the motion, Jerry, would you like to speak for your motion?
Jerry Saylor, Des Moines 13. We came to go through these things, and it's hard to go through all the rules. We have to do it more quickly than we really can understand them. And I think that this rule, taking out the decision to be able to amend them later on, is just wrong. We should be able to do whatever Robert's Rules of Order says we should do. And this takes away the opportunity. If we've made a big mistake in adopting one of these, it takes away the opportunity to fix that later on. And we need to give that opportunity. We may not use it, but we need to have that opportunity.
Jerry's point was the rules, taking away the option to amend the rules, is that there, once we set it, it's fine. Do you want to speak to that then? Sure.
I'm going to ask Tom to clarify that. Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the point made was that we can't change the rules later. Obviously, when you adopt the rules are the rules, but suspending the rules are always available.
All right, is there one?
Mr. Chairman, Connie Schmidt,
No.
Yes.
Where, she said the amendment to amend the rules. I'm sorry, yes.
You just voted on the amendment, not to approve, the amendment to change the rules, not to approve the rules, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
We haven't voted on the rules yet.
We haven't voted on those. Yes, sir.
John Swanson, West Des Moines, 110. I don't want to speak against this. I've seen as far as the platform rules, past years, platforms have completely changed by a few people remaining at the end of the convention and thrown out in a bunch of the platform. I hate to see that happen here.
Okay. Are there any additional speakers for or against the amendment to section, to amend section 12 or strike section 12?
Yes, my name is Raymond Starks. I'm Des Moines 40. I'm speaking out against this amendment to strike because if we adopt this amendment, this is simply going to go on forever. We're here to make an intelligent decision about what we want to adopt as a party and as a county party. We don't want to be sitting here until 12 o'clock midnight. That's my point.
Nick again, Des Moines 46. Call the question.
Question has been called. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The amendment proposed. All those in favor of closing debate, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Again, the amendment to the rule, the amendment offered by Jerry Saylor would be to strike section 12. All those in favor of that, state by saying aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
In the eyes of the chair, the motion carries. Or fails, excuse me. Yes. That would be me.
Call the question on the adoption of the rules.
There's still other speakers that would like to offer amendments. Jim?
Yes, Jim. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Jim Carley, Altoona 4. I would like to offer the following amendment. I would like to see us delete Exhibit A, which has already been done, B, and B 2.0. That's the list of the delegates. And I would like to insert my own Exhibit C. At-large delegates to the 3rd District and State Convention shall be limited to the following. County Chairman, County Co-Chairman, County Secretary, and County Treasurer.
It has been seconded. Okay, all those wishing to speak in favor of the motion? Jim?
That takes a little longer. Hi, I'm Jim Carley again. As you can tell by the statements that I said earlier, I'm really opposed to having a slate of any kind, even though it's been done for years. I believe this should be the party of the people. Many know that I ran 2 years ago for the House Senate, or the House Legislature. The biggest obstacle that I had to overcome while talking to independents and Republicans was that the Republican Party was an exclusive organization. And I fought to break that, and there's been many other good Republicans out fighting to break that. And what's the first thing we do at the next convention? We come out with a long list of people that should go automatically just because. I think that is totally wrong, and it's against the Republican principles. And then the ideas that came out on the last one, that they can go and be there, I believe that violates GOP, state GOP constitution and state law, that they were not elected in their delegates. And therefore, I think it needs to be changed and cut down to those 4 people. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the amendment? Mary?
Mary Wiseman, Des Moines 58, and I would like to speak against that. I was one of the original slate. I am not now, but I can tell you that I was duly elected as a delegate at my convention, at my county caucus, as I believe some of the folks that are on the list there. So to say that we were not elected at the precinct level is not correct. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the motion?
Call the question.
Is there a second? please identify yourself.
Mike Carter, I'm just called the question on that.
Yes, sir, please.
Michael McCoy, Precinct 2. I'm very reluctant to go against this, but the reason I'm leaning towards the for side is I think we have to keep in mind that the individuals that are on this slate, some of them being candidates, and there's talk about at least one of them dropping out of the race. And the filing deadline is not even up yet. So I can't see putting candidates forward when the filing deadline is not expired for all these, as well as we may have people drop out of the race and we're letting them just go ahead. So that's where I'm cautious, is having the candidates on there.
All right, the question has been called. It has been seconded. Mike Carter, Urbandale. All those in favor of closing debate state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion. All right, sorry. The debate is closed. Now we'll vote on the question. The question is to strike any proposed exhibit prior to Exhibit C, which would include the chair, co-chair, secretary, and treasurer of the county convention, from moving on to the district and state convention. Okay. Exhibit C, the motion would be to strike any previous exhibits and include a new exhibit called Exhibit C, which would permit the chair, the co-chair, the secretary, and the treasurer of the county convention to move on to the district and state conventions. All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. As the chair, the nays have it. Thank you. I didn't hear her, but we need to have some. Jerry
Saylor.
Yes, sir.
83. Sorry about that. I would like to make a motion to delete in the section number 14, XIV, the words, "A ruling of the chair to take business in a different order shall not be subject to an appeal to the floor of the convention."
Is there a second? It has been seconded. I'm going to have our parliamentarian give an explanation of why this provision is in the rules.
The provision, and I wasn't on the rules committee, is that if we have somebody come in that needs to speak, the chair would be allowed to let them come in. If that passes, the chair says, no, you can't come in and speak.
It can't be appealed.
Well, by 75%, but that's what the motion does.
All right. So there is a motion and it has been seconded. We'll now have discussion. All those wishing to speak in favor or against the motion, please rise. I'm going to recognize Tom Stockrand. He was at the microphone.
Mr. Chairman, West Des Moines 114. We have probably more candidates running than we've ever had from Polk County. We need to give the chair the flexibility to bring them out anytime on the agenda so that they can go on and speak in other places and forward their campaigns. This is not a power grab. This is an effort to give the chair the power to make this convention run smoothly. I suggest you vote against the amendment to the amendment.
Very simple. I agree with what he said, except for the fact that there are situations where there should be a place for an appeal. There should be a reason for the whole delegation here to say, well, we don't want to do it that way. And this way, of course, President Obama has that too. You don't have to say against him either. I think we should have the right to appeal anything.
Kurt Johnson, Urbandale 9. Again, this is not saying you can create a new agenda or delete items from the agenda, so you can just take them in a different order. Again, we have speakers come in from time to time. be sure we don't have to debate whether or not we can let a speaker speak if the chair wants to let him speak. So, yeah, I'd be against the amendment.
Okay.
Again, my name is Raymond Starks, Des Moines 40. If we do not allow the chair to have the power to do this, we are going to have pure anarchy in here. Also, if we are really out of order, then people will stand up, and if something is really being done wrong, people will stand up and oppose it because we are Republicans and that's what we do.
Again, going 46. Call for question. Second. Question's been called and seconded. All those in favor of closing debate, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The motion carries. The debate has been closed. And now we will vote on the motion. The motion presented would be to strike from Section 12 the ability of the Section 14, excuse me, sorry. Section 14 to strike the language that would allow the chair to take the agenda in different order or different order. Is that clarified, Jerry? I'm sorry.
No, it does not.
Please.
The chair is still allowed to take it in a different order. It's just subject to appeal. It could be appealed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Subject to appeal.
The appeal language is what's taken out.
No. So, again, I want to go ahead and make sure we have this clear. Jerry, would you please come back down to the microphone and restate your motion?
The motion is to delete the words in number XI4. A ruling of the chair to take business in a different order shall not be subject to an appeal to the floor of the convention.
Okay. You wish to strike. He wants to strike the language subject to appeal. Right. Okay? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. As the chair, the motion fails. Okay, are there any additional amendments that would like to be brought? Jim Carley.
Mr. Chairman, Jim Carley, Altoona 4. I would like to amend Section 2, the first sentence. Instead of the 75% required, I would like the first sentence to read as follows. These rules may be suspended or amended with the vote count of the delegates of the convention who are present and voting as follows. Suspending the rules, 2/3. Amending the rules, a simple majority.
Second. Okay. The motion has been seconded. Jim, would you please restate that motion?
These rules may be suspended or amended with a vote count of the delegates of the convention who are present and voting as follows. Suspending the rules, 2/3. Amending the rules, a simple majority.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Those wishing to speak for the amendment, please, Jim.
Robert's Rules of Orders.
Okay.
What was that?
My parliamentarian was bringing up a point, and I believe that was 2 amendments. However, I think it would be just all struck language and added additional.
One amendment, I'm striking one sentence and replacing it with one sentence. Just one amendment.
Okay.
I think the 75 is a big stretch trying to prevent changes from happening to what was put together already, although it wasn't put together by this convention. Robert's Rules of Orders generally calls for a suspension of 2/3 and a change with the majority, and I don't think we should change from that at all. That's why we are here, is so we can work it, not to be shut out.
Okay. Sure.
Parliamentary inquiry, what's the time limit for allowing proposed amendments on the floor before we move to?
They will carry on until we have no further amendments.
Wes Enos, Bondurant 2. I'd like to speak in favor for the same reasons that Jim has already mentioned regarding Robert's Rules of Order about suspension of rules. Pretty simple stuff. Also, I know that as the day wears on, we're going to have people kind of bleed off as we go into the platform debate. It's a whole lot easier to get to 2/3 of a majority to suspend the rules if we're going through platform debate than it is to get to 75. So I think in helping us get through this, I'd like to see a move to 2/3 as opposed to 75%.
Okay. John?
Yes. John Gruber, Altoona 5. I stand in opposed to this because this is after the final adoption of the rules. Once we actually adopt the rules, put them into effect, to amend them after that point should be 75%. Because otherwise, we could end up, once again, being here all day, right in the middle of something. Somebody wants to make an amendment to the rules, 51, 50+1, and boom, we're amending the rules, and good knows where we're going to go then. So this rule will go into effect after the adoption of the rules. Right now, we do not have rules adopted, so we can amend at 50+1.
I want to make sure that I think I answered your question correctly earlier. These are amendments that receive the criteria of having 8 signatures from 5 different precincts, these particular amendments that have been offered.
Okay. Nick McGann, 146, I'd like to call the question.
Second. The question's been called and seconded. All those in favor of shutting down the debate, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, the debate has been closed. This time, we will now, Jim, I'm going to have you come back up there so I get this completely correct. Go ahead.
We're changing just the first sentence to read. These rules may be suspended or amended with a vote count of the delegates of the convention who are present and voting as follows. Suspending the rules 2/3, amending the rules a simple majority.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we vote.
I'm sorry?
Does he have in there of those present? So if there's 15 people left, then.
Of those present, is that correct with your language, Jim? And voting?
I believe it was. Yes, it was.
It was. The clarification is that would be to suspend the rules by 2/3 and amend the rules by simple majority of those present and voting. Okay? All those in favor of the amendment state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. In the ayes of the chair, the nays have it. The motion fails.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Jerry Saylor, Des Moines, 83.
Okay.
Hold your applause. This is the last time I'll do a motion.
Okay.
This motion to delete is in section XVI, section 16. And my motion is to delete the wording at-large candidate table attached hereto as Exhibit A, which will change to Exhibit B, which delegate table shall be incorporated with and become a part of these rules upon adoption of these rules. No substitutions will be allowed if the at-large delegate slate set out in Exhibit A at any time. At-large delegates are presumed qualified for services specified in the at-large delegate allocation table upon adoption of these rules. At-large delegates listed in Exhibit B shall not be, B2.
B2.0.
Shall not be eligible to be elected by their precinct to the county convention, but may participate in the election of delegates from their precinct. And then I didn't put in the next 7 words. And then an adoption of the attachment A. So delete attachment A also. So the motion is to delete those words and Exhibit A.
Okay. Is there a second? Can you raise your hand, please? Thank you. Okay. There's a motion, and it's been seconded. That would be to strike quite a bit of language there, but it includes pretty much all of section 16 that refers to delegate slate to B2.0. All right. We'll have speakers speak for or against the motion.
Nick McGann, 146. I have an inquiry. If this amendment was made to 16 as proposed in the booklet, or the amendment to 16 as proposed on the blue sheet, I believe it was.
The proposed amendment amended rules reported by Tom Stockbrand would be B2.0, which was handed out to most of you. If you didn't receive it, I apologize, but while you were credentialed earlier today.
So this is the amendment to the amendment.
The amended rules. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, Connie Schmidt, type 2. I'm sorry, type 3. First time is 1, 2, now. I support the amendment according to the state code of Iowa, section 43.4. It says that no delegate can be elected at the county convention. They have to be elected at the caucuses. If you want to check the state code, please do so, but that's what it says. That they have to be elected at the caucuses, not at this convention, nor can they be appointed. They have to be elected by the caucus and that body.
Okay. Anyone else that would like to speak for or against the motion? Okay. There's no one else to speak for or against the motion? Mike?
Call the question.
Is there a second? The question has been called. All those in favor of closing the debate, speak by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. This time we will now, Jerry, I'm going to make sure you don't have to repeat this all, but I want to make sure I get it correct. To strike all language from section 16 with the rules dealing with the at-large delegate table, including the people listed in Exhibit B 2.0. Is that correct, Jerry? Okay. All All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. And the ayes have the chair, the motion fails. Okay. Jim.
Mr. Chairman, Jim Carley, Altoona 4. One more.
Do we have all these found, by the way?
Yes, you do. She has
Okay,
one.
great. Thank you.
She has them all. This is a simple one. Section 16 again. I wish to add 3 words to the very end of it. That are present. So I want it to mean that we, after election of delegates and precincts and adoption of attachment B, whatever the heck we're on now, should the total delegates elected to the district and state convention not add up to 263, then the necessary additional delegates shall be determined by lottery conducted by the Credentials Committee using all remaining names of delegates to this convention that are present. In other words, I only want people that took the time to come here to go forward.
Okay, the motion has been carried. The motion has been made and seconded. Again, that would be to add the additional language that are present at the end of section 16. I'm going to go back and so you can see again the proposal. Amended rules. Okay, those wishing to speak for the motion or against, please have the microphone.
John Gruber, Altoona 5. Way to go, Jim. That's a very good motion because absolutely, if they didn't show up here as a delegate, then they don't get to move forward.
Nick? And for those of you, if anyone wishes to speak and you're in an interior chair, we'll take the time if you're standing and moving towards the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Debbie Held, Johnston, Precinct 3. It could be a matter of timeliness that it may not be certain that there's a complete or incomplete list of 263, you know, before this adjourns. I don't know. So I just don't think it's necessary to say of those present because I think that's understood. And logistically, that may not always be possible. So.
already standing up, I'm sorry.
I just want to clarify, so what this essentially, Lou Olson, Precinct 82, Des Moines. I want to clarify, what this deals with is after we allocated delegates to our precinct caucuses for district and state, and Exhibit 2B. There may be some instances where there could be precincts that are open for whatever reason. And at that point in time, we would select by lottery to fill this position. And so at that point in time, what we're talking about is this very small subset of delegates.
The proposed rules, as I understand them, would allow, first of all, people that would be elected by slate, and then also people that would be elected to the various committees. And then finally, we would have elections at the precinct level later today as part of our agenda. And then, if there was any vacancies left over, those would be filled by lottery.
In that case, and we would have a president.
And that would be require them to be here and present.
In that case, I would support it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Red flag, good. First of all, we stood up here earlier and we pledged allegiance to that flag. We've all taken time out of our day to be here. And I take offense at people saying, we want to hurry up and get out. This is our opportunity to do and actually, on the slates, it's taking voice away from the people. And we're actually in violation of our state code. Do we ignore that? Do we stand up here, sit down here, and ignore what the state code says? That's all I have to say.
Are there any questions? The question has been called.
Point of order. Mr. Chairman, I ask you to consult the parliamentarian. I believe that proper parliamentary procedure requires that the person who raises the point calls the question has to be recognized by the chair. And for motions, you need to stand, unless unable I mention. You need to stand, be recognized, and then a second.
Okay. The parliamentarian, this is in his recommendation, was that we haven't adopted the rules, so in terms of procedure, we would allow people to just call the question from once they're.
I was just speaking Roberts, I believe that's.
He did identify himself according to the plan. Sorry. Okay. The question has been called. All those in favor of closing debate state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right. The debate has been closed. At this time, we will now again I'll restate the motion. That would require the following language to be added to the end of section 16 of the proposed rules. And that would include the words that are present. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Okay. The motion fails. Good. Division. All those in favor of the motion, please stand.
Point of order. Division cannot be called after the chair's announced the result under Robert's rules.
Well, that's when you call division. Division can't be called.
When you consult the parliamentarian, I believe under Robert's rules, once the chair has announced the result of what you can't call division.
You will always have a division, and you can't tell him the results.
Please sit down for a moment. Thank you. So division has been called. At this time, we're going to, please, if you're standing, we'll want you to, and you're standing in the back of the convention, we want you to take a seat at least, okay? Well, if you're a delegate, anyway, excuse me, not an alternate. So all those in favor of the motion, please stand. Okay. You want?
If you can't tell, you can redo it.
Okay. All those, please seated. All those against the motion, please stand. In the eyes of the chair, the motion passed. Okay. Are there any additional?
Mr. Chairman, Sarah Saylor, Des Moines 83. I don't know whether I have a point of order or just a question.
Please.
Is that in order at this time?
That's in order.
If the lady says that this slate violates Code 43 of the Iowa Code, and we are passing rules to obey that code, should we not check to see if that code says what she says it says? And how do we do that?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Kevin.
The Iowa Code says delegates to the county convention have to be elected at the caucus. It does not say anything about delegates to the district and state convention.
Here, and my co-chairwoman, Cheryl Wisman, she has a copy of the code that she's pulled up. And again, reviewing the language, we saw nothing in the code that would restrict delegates being elected by slate to the district and state convention. This is also a matter of precedent. It's been done at multiple county conventions before. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Connie Schmidt, Clyde Creek. Code Section 43.4, also Code Section 43.97. I will read it. Requires the delegates to state district conventions be elected by their county convention. Delegates cannot be appointed, and county chairs are not legally able to appoint delegates to the county, to the state and district conventions. Right here.
And they are not appointed. They're actually being voted on as a part of the rules.
Then we go back into item number 16 that Jim was talking about earlier. And we need, if that's not the case, then we need clarification if those delegates or those appointees are going to be able to vote at this particular convention.
No, they're not.
Really, but
If
that's
they
not,
are a credentialed delegate, yes, at this convention.
but we need to have that clarified.
Okay. So that if there's any confusion there, the members of Exhibit B 2.0 are part of a slate that will be voted on here as a part of the rules by the delegates to the convention. If there are individuals on that list that are delegates to the county convention that are permitted to vote, did that clarify your question, ma'am? Just show your hand, wave your hand, and clarify your... Okay. Again, as a part of the rules adoption, we are not appointing anybody. They are being elected and voted on by the delegates of this convention. Okay? No, they're not actually going to be delegates to this county convention. Okay? Mr. Selden.
John Stoker, Riverdale 3. I'd like to make a motion to close amendments and call the question.
Second. The motion has been called, the question has been called and seconded. All those in favor of closing debate state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. At this time, we will now vote on the amended rules as presented by Tom Stockman, the Rules Committee Chairman. Again, those rules will be amended to include Exhibit B 2.0 and the clarifying language of the election of delegates to the district and state convention by precinct, which also includes delegates with 5 or more seated delegates to elect 2 delegates to this district and state convention. All those in favor, state.
We're also including the amendment. Jason?
Yes, I'm sorry, and the amended language that are present to section 16. Okay? Thank you, sir. All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Okay? And as the chair, the motion carries. The rules are enacted. At this time, we are now going to have the next candidate speak. I'd like to welcome our candidate running for Senate District 15. Please help me welcome Crystal Brentz.
Thank you for your time today. As Will said, my name is Crystal Brentz, and I'm running for Senate District 15. So that is most of Jasper County and the eastern part of Polk County. Currently, that seat is held by Senator Dennis Black, so definitely an interesting race that I'm getting myself into. A little bit about myself, though. I grew up in Iowa, went to high school in Nevada, college at Central and Pella, and then I also have an MBA from Drake. My work career has included Maytag as well as Pioneer for about 18 years. In the last about year and a half, I've been with Come and Go. During that time, I've had the opportunity to work in tax, everybody's favorite, as well as human resources. I've also been allowed to travel, so I've really had some great opportunities growing up in Iowa. One of the questions I always get asked is, why am I running? And everybody wants to know the answer to that one. Sometimes I ask myself that as well. The reason I'm running, though, I sat down the other day and I was looking at my announcement, thinking about seeing that in the press. And that announcement had 3 issues that I'm passionate about and know a lot about: taxes, regulations, as well as education. You know, we can only write press release with only a few of the things I'm passionate about. Those are the top 3, but I can get on fire about a lot of other things as well. Then I kept reading through that article, and at the bottom there was a comment. And for some reason I actually read that comment. Probably a bad decision that day. The comment says, I don't know why she even bothers to run. One person doesn't make a difference. So I was like, wow. You know, one person does make a difference. All of you guys are here making a difference today. I put myself forward to this to make a difference. I just ask for your support as I step forward and do this, and together we can make a difference. This seat makes a difference as well for the Iowa Senate. This one seat, if we can flip this one, it could be the deciding seat this fall. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your support as I go forth and try my best to make this a Republican Senate. Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to the election of permanent convention officers. Nominations for permanent convention chair are in order. Nominations do not require a second. No nominated speeches will be allowed, and candidates will be permitted to speak up to 1 minute. Are there any nominations for permanent convention chair? Someone stand.
Funk Reynolds one, I nominate Will Ron.
Second.
All right, Dave Funk, Reynolds one, nominated myself, and it has been seconded. It then need to be seconded. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, there has been a motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to close nominations. All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay. favor of myself serving as chair of the convention state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. Okay, the second office that we'll be electing, we will be electing 3 other offices: the chair, co-chair, secretary, and auditor. Okay, so our next one would be electing the co-chair. Is there a motion for co-chair at this time? Nominations, excuse me.
I nominate Cheryl Wisniewski.
Okay, Darlene, could you state your name and precinct number?
Darlene Blake, precinct 165.
You get that? Second. Darlene Blake, Des Moines 65. Okay, are there any additional nominations? Okay, seeing none, nominations will be ceased without objection. Okay, all those in favor of Cheryl Wisniewski being elected as co-chair, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Cheryl's elected as co-chair. This time, Cheryl Wisniewski, excuse me. This time we will now have our nominations for secretary for the convention.
I nominate Shelley Lara Quinte, April Linder, West Des Moines 117. Nominate Shelley Lara Quinte.
Shelley Lara Quinte's name has been placed in nomination. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, nominations will cease without objection. All those in favor of Shelley Lara Quinte serving as convention secretary, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Finally, we'll elect our auditor, excuse me. Those wishing to offer nominations for convention auditor, please rise.
April Linder, West Des Moines 117. I nominate Cheryl Whiteside as our auditor.
Cheryl Whiteside's name has been placed in nomination. Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, nominations will cease without objection. All those in favor of Cheryl Whiteside serving as convention auditor, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And Cheryl has been elected as well as convention auditor. At this time, I will be, as chair, appointing the following individuals to serve and assist with the execution of the county convention. They are as follows: Cleon Babcock, parliamentarian; April Linder, sergeant at arms; Jean Babcock, Jean; timekeeper number 1; Pat Amadeo, timekeeper number 2. Okay? At this time, we will have the next item of business is the preliminary report on the credentials committee. Please help me welcome Joe Myers.
Good morning, and thank all of you for being here today. I do want to start off with some thank yous. The Credentials Committee members, I want to recognize Bobby Pence, Jim Douglas, Dave Edwards, Mike Kinther, and Gloria Mazza for all their help this morning. I also want to thank everyone who volunteered to help us get everybody credentialed on time. The preliminary report as it stands, we have 332 seated delegates, 82 seated alternate delegates, and 13 junior delegates. I'm going to read off the list of vacancies we have in each precinct. I do ask that you give me some time before you head out to get credentialed so I can go back to my computer, get seated, and ready. We have openings in the following precincts: Alleman 1, Altoona 2, Altoona 3, Ankeny 1, Ankeny 10, Ankeny 11, Ankeny 13, Ankeny 2, Ankeny 4, Ankeny 5, Ankeny 7, Bondurant 2, Clive 3, Crocker 1 and 2, Des Moines 10, Des Moines 11, Des Moines 18, Des Moines 28, Des Moines 29, Des Moines 3, Des Moines 37, Des Moines 39, Des Moines 4, Des Moines 40, Des Moines 41, Des Moines 51, Des Moines 56, Des Moines 58, Des Moines 6, Des Moines 60 and 61, Des Moines 66, Des Moines 70, Des Moines 75, Des Moines 76, Des Moines 8, Des Moines 83, Des Moines 84, and Des Moines 9. We also have openings in Douglas 1, Elkhart 1, 4 Mile 1, Franklin 1, Grimes 1 and 2, Johnston 1, 4, and 6, Pleasant Hill 2 and 3, Polk City 1, Reynolds 1, Sailor 2, Urbandale 11, Urbandale 3 and 4, Urbandale 7, Urbandale 9, West Des Moines 114, West Des Moines 116, Des Moines 118, West Des Moines 211, West Des Moines 212, West Des Moines 213, West Des Moines 311, and West Des Moines 317. Like I said, please give me some time to get back to the credentialing table. You're all going to walk up to me and my computer, and we'll get credentials moved out. At this time, I'd like to move the adoption of the report on credentials.
I've got a point of inquiry, Mr. Chairman. Mark Wattler, Alderman 1. Our entire delegation is here. We've heard Alderman 1, but Allen 1 has an empty seat.
Yeah, I can go look at that. That might be an oversight.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Urbandale 7 had all 6 of our delegates here.
That's why it's a preliminary report.
Said Urbandale 7 is full.
Urbandale 8 is
I'm sorry. You said 213? All right.
176 for both here.
Sir, right there. Go ahead.
Martin Vogel, this one, all of our delegates are here.
Okay. Okay, I saw another hand up. Des Moines 37's all here. Okay, sir.
Park 1. We're all here.
Ma'am?
Urbandale 11 is all here.
Urbandale 11 is all here.
Are there any others?
Yeah, Urbandale 10, there's 3 missing.
Question?
Yes, Kurt.
Johnson, Urbandale 9. Hey, I just wonder if maybe he should go out and let people think there's errors, deal with it, and come back. I mean, it seems like we're losing control of the process.
No, I think it's actually pretty helpful to get this done right now.
If you'll just raise your hand, I'll point to you. You can call out what you need so Joe can hear it.
Okay, we'll start with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Urbandale 10, we have 3 openings.
Urbandale 10 is 3
Urbandale 2 has 2 openings, or Urbandale 8 has 2 openings.
Sailor 1, Sailor 2, all here.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just listed the precincts that had openings. I did not list the number of openings.
I have 1 opening, West Des Moines 150. Sir?
West Des Moines 116, all are present.
Sir?
Polk City 1, all present.
West Des Moines 212, all present.
Franklin 1, we're both here.
Ma'am?
Jefferson 1 has an opening. West Des Moines 318, 1 opening.
183 is
183 has 2 present.
correct.
Okay.
141 is all here.
West?
Bondurant 2 is full. Bondurant 1 has openings. I think I
I'm sorry about that.
Fine.
Bondurant.
Sir?
Sure.
precincts I listed that are full at this time, their delegations.
Anyone else? Okay, I think you're good.
All right.
Okay, the amended report, or I'm sorry, excuse me, the preliminary report, there's a motion to accept the preliminary report. Obviously, it will be amended later. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Okay.
Just meet me in the back, buddy.
Okay, those wishing to ask any questions will have an opportunity to do that. We'll be going to a break here shortly. Okay? Again, it has been moved and seconded that the preliminary report of credentials be adopted. Okay, is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Okay? During our break, we'll have an opportunity to go to the credentialing area. Alternates will be able to go to the credentialing area to fill any vacancies in the delegation and you may be excused at this time to the credentials area for further instructions. At this time, the convention will stand in recess for 1 hour.
While we're at recess, could you have someone check to see if there's a door open over here or something?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
It's real cold.
We will, okay, the convention will stand in recess for 1. Richard.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a point of information for members of the platform committee. We'll be meeting in this hallway over here, access through the auditorium from 13:15 during the lunch hour.
Okay. We will stand in recess for 1 hour with the exception of the Urbandale delegates. If you can gather up here right at the front, please. We will stand in convention until 12:50 p.m. Thank you. Urbandale delegates, please gather up here at the front.
So what did we do wrong?
He and I both, we just kind of like ran. I said,
Cheryl, listen to him. Urbandale folks, get them down here by down here. I'm just pointing you out. Urbandale, Brad, come on down here, guys.
Try to get the platform through here first.
I know, we'll only spend 5 minutes here, okay? Then we'll break. Plus, it's going to be a long time for your barbecue coffee, right? I'm going to wait until Brad and Kurt get down here, gather up Mike. Barbara, right behind you. Okay. Mike? Mike Carver. Mike Carver.
I'm coming.
Well, Ian, I think you can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. Real quickly, I'm going to make sure everybody's aware. We have a candidate who identifies originally Lisa Fox and Representative Megan Black. great guy, you know, whatever that is. We want to give voters a choice. And by discouraging people from running, that sets a bad precedent for our party. Yeah. You know, on Will's point, this is a seat. This is a Republican seat. This isn't like some of the Des Moines seats. I mean, Janet will tell you this is a Republican seat. The voter registration is a Republican. Mitt Romney won the seats. Do not let people around town tell you you can't beat John Ford. That's absolutely not true. The seat that House Republicans have on our target list, we intend to play in, and we are going to elect a Republican to represent our issues. So, to that point, while you eat your lunch, be thinking about it. Be thinking about who among you or your circle of contacts that you know that would make a good candidate. Because now we have 6 days to identify who that person is. Okay? And so this could be a seat that determines control of the Iowa House. This is real, this is critical. We need your help. Thank you. You guys can break your lunch. Yeah. So, and if you have any questions, please let me know or will. Thank you.
No, I don't think that's
So you're okay if we, the two of us,
yeah, I know.
we need to
I got to be.
all right. Well, keep it up.
Thank you.
you get something like this. I mean, nobody looks at it. It's like it's meaningless. And the only thing it does is it gives people things they want to fight about or something, and that's fine. And to me, it's just, and then you, I don't know, it's just, because really, it gets down to getting some of the real issues. And we have some key issues in terms of regulation, over-regulation, what's happening. I mean, it is just beyond comprehension. What's going on right now at the federal level in terms of regulation, and it's just like it all the time in the city. When you look at what we have to do with water and all that stuff, I mean, we're having to generate dollars just to do something.
Is that her up there now? Rachel? Hi. You're good. Thank you.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, let me see that.
Oh yeah. I just did it because I was. Well, we talked about it. Remember, we got into that same discussion. As their back door.
How you doing, Kevin?
Good. I need a live power outage.
This one work. There you go. Is that not working?
No. Some of them are working, some aren't.
Oh.
That works though.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yes. Yep. Going very slow.
Wait some of this stuff.
Better than I did.
It's just crazy. I mean, everybody thinks we can control the whole world by some rules and regulations and some better and so much. I mean, it's just like we were talking about building that bridge in $2 million. It was a huge sum because they couldn't disturb the sand or something because of some little fish. you know, they had this interchange that was delayed about a year out in West Des Moines because of some spotted owl or something.
Hey, I gotta take off, but there's room for me. I'd love to go on and take the listen.
Well, you know, the thing you need to do, what you need to do is each precinct has, now how many delegates did you have out of 8? You had, no. How many did you actually had to allocate these? But you had 2 that were here. So every delegate precinct would have 1 automatic. So we just basically, with our Urban Mill 7, we have 2 because we had 6. So we've already kind of decided who those 2 people are. So you could probably figure out, you know, within your group, who, you know, if you wanted to be, you know, they would say, fine, you'd be the person. So that would be the way to do it. Now beyond that, you could put your name in on the lottery. I'm going to go up and count them because I assume that we're going to give it a sheet or something that we can fill it out, you know, on this election of the precinct delegates. So you could be, who's the other person that's here from the precinct? Well, that's something you need to.
You get 1 out of each precinct.
You automatically get 1. And then beyond that, then they have a lottery thing. And my guess is probably a good chance. You probably have a good chance. You might. You have to work. You have to kind of work with her. Just talk to her about it. Maybe you flip a coin, and you know, maybe whoever gets the coin flip gets the deal, and then the other one goes in the lottery. So that, you know, that would be the.
Sounds good. Hey.
It doesn't make any sense either.
It doesn't come down to as much as, you know, I'd love to go on a campaign and do other things, but I'm not sure you go.
How we doing, Jonas?
Good, all right? Thanks so much. What we do is I'm gonna sit out. How are you doing? John Ford. It's off. It's off. Is it off?
Yeah.
I know it's a battery. So it's
I am, and I have never heard a convention before. And
what time did you get there?
Just about the beginning of the rules time.
Okay.
So that was the exciting time, right?
How are you doing here? Hold on. So,
can you give me a little analysis of anything? I don't know if you're the best.
I don't know.
Are you the right person
I'm
for me
kind
to
of
ask?
the deer caught in the deadline. I don't know. I was like, she's wanting to know some analysis.
Yeah, when you're done, there's no rush.
Okay. No, I think the convention's gone well so far today. I mean, we've had a nice discussion about the rules. We had a number. Well, I think it's polite, and people offered their thoughts, and that's what's important. That we get through our convention while we want to do it in an efficient and effective manner. We also want to be fair about it. People have their opportunity to make their voice heard.
And no surprise that was an issue today.
Not at all. Not at all. And we were, glad to have Governor Branstad here to kick off the convention this morning. And that's, if you saw the opening slide that we had up there, we're just blessed to have a great crop of candidates running for office, and we'll be able to be a part of their election this year. So.
Yeah. As you see it, what are the priorities to get out of today?
Adopt the platform is a real priority for us.
Any issues on the platform you expect to kind of bring out a lot of debate?
I think what's going to happen today on the platform is we're going to have a little bit of a departure in where we've been at the past. Instead of having